we live in the mountains. And we are mountain people. And one time we have been to a very famous mountain in Switzerland, the Matterhorn. It's a very steep mountain. It looks like a pyramid. And my son asked me, on the very peak, on the very top of this mountain, how many people can gather? How many people can stand on the very, very top of the mountain? And we were looking up, and I said, only one. So he was thinking, and I asked him if he want to go up. And he said, yes, but if only one can be on the very top, but we are two. So I said, don't worry. I will guide you, and you can be on the very top. And later on, you will tell your son and teach him and show him the way to the summit. So when I was a young novice and living with my teacher, we always were in the mountains, going up through the dark forests and climbing up to the summit. I had no time. I had to throw away my garment. And sometimes it was very rough and tough. But we had no time for wasting. There was no picking and choosing. So in this life, we had to do a lot of work. And crossing over many, many wild rivers. I know some of you really want to meditate. And ask for a place in our monastery. But there's no picking and choosing. It's like having a family. Kids running around. There is almost no free time or space for yourself. So when I was a young novice and my teacher a warrior monk. It was very difficult to follow. That was my only concern, to be his shadow. And next to him, forgetting all my own little things, just keeping up. Because in the deep mountains, it's a very dangerous place. And when we had to cross wild rivers, one small wrong step, and you're a dead man. I remember one time a guy joined us, but he was hesitating. He was used to his own ways. But in the battlefield, that's deadly. So my teacher never wanted to please me because he had a very important task to do. From morning until evening, I was running. I couldn't wait. If I waited, he would have been gone. So my only focus was to run. I had no time to think about my personal needs. Even going to the toilet, I had to adapt to him. So it was a very intense time of learning. My body and my mind imitated whatever he was doing, following every step. So whenever you enter a monastery or a temple, you have to leave your garment in front of the gates. Otherwise, you will stumble. And step on you whale. It amazed me how smoothly my teacher could cross over the rivers and climb up the highest mountains. And when I was out of breath or almost drowning, I never lost him out of my vision. Whatever he was doing, he was in constant prayer. His body and his mind were aligned. He had a razor-sharp sword. And the people and the beasts were shivering with fear. I forgot my whole body and mind. And I soaked everything in. When I was training with my teacher, I was naked all the time. But I could hide under his garment of 1,000 colors. In the marketplace, or on top of the mountains. He could adapt to anything and everyone. But he never was bound by it. I was sent to him by my Dharma father, the one monk who ordained me. Because when they were young, they had many battles and fights. Together they went into the battlefields. Two warrior monks. So I was sent again to a far country, an unknown place. And had to find this guy. And at the very first time, after a 100-day retreat in the monastery, on the 101st day, at 3 o'clock in the morning, only he and I were sitting in the meditation hall. Everyone else left. So I was surprised and thought, what's going on? And I was just following my teacher. And I asked him, where did all the others go? What happened? So I didn't realize that the retreat was over. The 100 days training period. And everybody else took a rest. So I just continued to follow him. But I knew I never could follow him. And one time we took a car ride deep into the mountains and were hiking, and finally arrived at the very small, very old, rustic hermitage. And a very old monk appeared out of the hut. And this was my great grandmaster, my teacher's teacher. So he was sick, and we took care of him for some days. In the middle of nowhere, in the Korean mountains. And he was asking me, can you live in the mountains? And day by day, and very slowly, very, very slowly, I learned little by little. So these warrior monks had a very strange task. And looking death into the eyes. I was afraid all the time. It's like when you're carrying a gun. You have to pay attention all the time. But we are all little warrior monks because we have to face death. When we pray and meditate, we let the shadow come closer. That's why in the monastery there is no time for picking and choosing. Thank you very much.